for you as you for me. Oh, my wild sweet, here for you as me. We will cocoon with the season. We will sing without reason and emerge with widened wings.
Oh, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining this first Cultural Emergence Curiosity call. We've had many calls, but this is the first one that we've called Curiosity Call. So I'm delighted to be joined by all of you. And I know many people will be watching the recording as well. So welcome to all of you that aren't live with us. Thank you for taking the time out of your days to join us. So for those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Looby Macnamara, author of Cultural Emergence, and I'm joined here today with Leona Johnson, who I've been collaborating with over the last year, 2 years, and we'll be co-facilitating this call and co-facilitating together in the summer as well. So yeah, and I'm just feeling really grateful today for spring and spring sunshine and all the plant world that is coming back to life, and the bird kingdom that's coming, that's fully active at the moment. And I'll be sharing some more stories later on about the bird world at Applewood. Yeah, and if you would like to put in the chat where you're calling in from and what you're feeling grateful for today, and I'll pass over to you, Leona, to join us.
Welcome, everybody. It's so lovely to see some familiar faces and some new faces as well. Yeah, it's really, really great to connect like this and share a little bit about what's happening the year ahead. I've been working with Looby on the Cultural Emergence courses this last year, and I'm really loving bringing it to others. I think before we go into our stories, it would be really nice if we just spent a little moment grounding and allowing ourselves to arrive. So if you're willing, maybe just have some consciousness of how you're sitting or standing, and allow yourself to maybe close your eyes just for a second and feel your feet on the ground, or where your bottom is touching the earth or the seat below you. Just noticing your body, noticing how it feels to be still and present. What can you smell? What can you taste in your mouth or in the air? Maybe notice how you feel on your skin. Is the air cool? Where do you feel cool? Where do you feel more cozy, warm? Noticing any sounds around you. They're likely to be human sounds, but maybe you can hear the birds outside or some natural sounds. Just noticing as you come into stillness, maybe you can let go of some of what's gone on already today. And maybe whenever we slowly open our eyes, just allow yourself to stretch. Big stretch. Oh, yes. Oh, just moving your shoulders, loosening any tension. Sometimes we can spend a lot of time without paying much attention to our bodies. Yeah. Coming back into presence and seeing all these lovely faces that have joined you because they, as you are interested in living well, in co-creating space and emerging into a new way of being. So welcome, and thank you for being here. So I'm going to share my gratitude. It's really nice to see some of your gratitudes in the chat. This morning I was doing a sit spot in the wood that's near my house, and I was only there for a few minutes when a deer bounded across the field in front and right up to the fence, which is about 3 meters away from me. And we just had this moment, you know, this real moment of stillness and curiosity. And it lasted longer than I thought it was going to last. I'm practicing this presence in practicing and sharing my heart, really sending out a connection to other beings, and it allowed this moment between the deer and I to pass. And it felt really symbolic because I've just finished one project. I've been facilitating a long bypass program for a while, and I'm at the beginning of a new. And the deer for me is the sign of new beginnings and alertness and awareness and inspiration and vitality, new beginnings. So yeah, feels really lovely. I'm really grateful for that this morning. And I'm just noticing some of your gratitudes in the chat. I'll share a few of them. Emma Myers from East London, grateful for the day in my therapeutic garden with special needs children, planting seeds. Gorgeous day. Bernie, grateful to see all of us. Suzanne from Suffolk, grateful for a beautiful day and spending it outside. Charlie's grateful for good food and a comfy sofa and hardworking husband. And Delvin calling in all the way from Elphinstone rainforest of British Columbia, Canada. Grateful for all the bird song on our little permaculture homestead, and to all of you for showing up today to share a special moment. Doreen, for an extremely lovely and solidarity-based bike mechanic taking care of my bike today for tomorrow. And more and more and more. But it's really nice to start with gratitude. It's something that we've embedded into the culture of cultural emergence, and feels really important to acknowledge and honor those links to life, the things that make us feel, the things that allow us to be alive in the way that we need and want to be. So yeah, this call is going to be about an hour and a half long. It's going to be recorded, just so you know. There's going to be time for questions and answers throughout, but if anything comes to mind while we're speaking, do feel free to put your questions and into the chat, and then we can pick up on them as we go through. And if we don't get time to answer all the questions, we will answer them. We will get back and answer them at the end of the call. So what I'm curious about today, as we begin, is just some people have got their cameras off, but if you are listening and it's easy for you to just pop them on, it'd be just interesting to have a little wave of hands of people who have some awareness of cultural emergence and what it means. Maybe we try, I don't know, a temperature check on the screen. If you sort of know quite a lot of about cultural emergence, you could sort of put your gauge up here. And if this is the first time that you've ever talked about cultural emergence and you don't really know what it is, if you could mark it right down at the bottom, it just gives us an idea of where people are at. Yeah. Great. Okay. So seems like people have some awareness of cultural emergence, but a lot of people are coming because they're curious about what all this is and would like to find out more. So great, you're in the right place. Thank you for coming.
And I noticed that some people were like, well, kind of up here, or Delvin was like this, and even myself, I've written, you know, a whole book about it. I've been deeply immersed in it for years, and I'm still on the learning journey. It's still something that I bring to my conscious awareness. It's practices. It's not like, oh, okay, nature connection, great, tick, I've done that. Oh, listening, yes, great, I've tick, done that. Oh, yes, awareness of my own personal culture, tick, done that. It's not like that. It's like it's a constant journey, and that's actually really what's so exciting about cultural emergence. And when you start engaging with it, is that is, you know, and when you come on a course, it's not like, oh, I do a weekend and then I go home and forget about it. It's like, oh no, okay, I do a weekend or a week course. We've got different ones that we'll talk about, and then you've got the tools, and then you can play with the tools and make new things, and make exciting things, and make your own stories about cultural emergence, and how you can use it to both navigate all the constant changing seas that we live in, and also to direct your attention and direct your purpose, and find your purpose, and then find your pathways to sharing out in the world. So it's got many uses, and many ways of integrating it and embodying it in your body and in your life, and embedding it in your life. So yeah, it's so we're all on the journey. Some of us just have maybe more stories to tell than others about it. And I am going to, in a short while, just to give heads up that we'd love to hear some stories and share some stories of cultural emergence. So I'm seeing Delvin, Barbara, Kareem, Bernie, and Maureen, all who have done courses with me, and facilitation courses, some of you as well. So I will in a while open up the mic to those people, to if they have a story to share about their experience with cultural emergence. So just a little heads up there. Yeah, I mean, Leona, let's start with you. Do you have something to share about your journey with cultural emergence?
Yeah, so I came at Cultural Emergence from I guess a long time ago, I did a permaculture course. So I came through the permaculture door. I did my training with Starhawk, who some of you will know is a permaculture and trainer and ceremonialist and author in the States. And it was part of an earth activist training. So I was already really very involved at the time in frontline action, holding actions, ways to try and stop some of the destructive practices that were and are happening on the planet. And I really wanted to find a way to do it with more with groups in a more healthy way, in a way that we were creating a different way of being, a new culture, a new way of connecting. And so through that permaculture door, I came across The People in Permaculture that Looby wrote probably 11 years ago now, and started facilitating people in permaculture, which was and is my passion. I was a social worker, and everything that I do is about bringing people back into connection to themselves and to each other and to the wider world, to the natural world, and seeing ourselves all as one juicy, vibrating, moving organism that knows that each action that we take and do has an effect and impact on everybody else. So over time, I did my eco-psychology training, and I started bringing forest school into my community, and ecotherapy and rites of passage, and which is mainly what I do now, is lead long-term programs of rites of passage and online and offline courses for adults, bringing nature connection and village building into our way of being as a consciousness. And so the cultural emergence movement that was emerging whenever I was also doing my eco-psychology just felt so exciting and so in line with what I want to bring to the world, which is a way of being that allows us to be our human animal selves, that recognizes that in order to be healthy and to be in a healthy environment, we have to be healthy ourselves, and we have to we have to live in a way that works for us in order to be able to create that world around us. So the beauty and the magic that comes through with the tools of cultural emergence and the principles of cultural emergence and the web that we use in designing is there's a magic, that happens whenever we create from a mindset and a intentional space that has cultural emergence at its core. And so what I've come across are people who are already doing positive and interesting things in their lives, but they feel that there's something that it feels like a little bit like it's always an uphill struggle, and maybe there's a desire for people for wanting to connect with others who are also wanting to connect in a good way and bring about a different way of being rather than just doing the same things over and over again. So yeah, it's exciting, and it feels exciting to be part of a global community that is where small groups are also springing up, local groups that are also springing up, but this global community of people who are intentionally working with these tools and principles in order to bring about cultural change. And one of the exciting programs that one of the exciting designs that I did a couple of years ago was a design for a program that
Oh, did we just lose Leona? So she's left us on the exciting design that she did, and I know what it is, and maybe she'll come back and share with us what it is. Yeah, it's the cliffhanger. You can't leave now. Maybe Karim, would you like to share something of your journey with cultural emergence?
So you asked me, right?
I was saying Karim, but then let's go to
Karin.
we'll
Ah,
go,
okay.
yeah,
Okay,
and
okay.
then we'll
Sorry,
come
I
to you.
didn't hear. I didn't hear.
Okay,
Okay,
that's okay. We'll come to you, Bernie.
Thank you. Wow, I was just inspired by the whole journey of Leona, and I'm just like yeah, just very humbled to also have met and done courses with Leona and Looby and see their journey. And for me, this is my source of inspiration of where to get, and like talking about building village and bringing cultural emergence to everyday life. For me, I feel like, yeah, I actually got into cultural emergence with a similar call like this that happened maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago. And I saw it skimming through Facebook. And I don't know if it was called the curiosity call back then, but I was just, I clicked on something not knowing where I'm at. And I clicked on it and I saw Looby talking about cultural emergence, and then got into the whole, the website, the works, and knew about the books. And since then, it was for me like it was a necessary language that I felt so accessible to me, coming from a culture that is, I mean, it's a language that is so accessible, having been involved in a bit of permaculture work, and also being involved in a lot of social work in Lebanon, where I'm from, in the Middle East, and trying to bridge and bring permaculture to vulnerable and marginalized communities. And cultural emergence felt like just the missing piece of a language to bring in. And since heard about it and knew about it, and then I'm trying to learn more and more about the practices, the principles, also the design toolkit in order to create projects, to co-create projects, and to empower people around us feel similar empowerment, and to kind of share a similar language, which for me, this is the main thing. It's a language and a set of tools, principles, and practices. And I'm learning and devoting time into it. And I'm also consciously kind of now embodying them and like kind of rewiring my mind into shifting new language inside and adopting new ways of looking at life, new perspectives. And I feel it's just so rich. It's a very rich complementary to the permaculture world. And I'm also like, I've been working and living on some permaculture projects, land-based projects and community projects. And there's always the missing piece of how to live in community and bringing in the people care aspect. And for me, a lot of it is coming from my studying and my involvement in cultural emergence work. And I wish to develop that more, be more confident to share these tools and to bring them into the communities I'm involved in and will be involved with in the future. And whoever can go and join any of the courses that if you can, it's the best gift that you can offer yourself. And I look forward to going back to the UK and be able to join for more courses.
Yeah, thank you, Karim. Yeah, and you are coming back this summer. We've got you addicted to coming here. A very healthy, healthy, productive addiction. Coming to Applewood. Yeah, lovely, lovely. Thank you, Karim. Yeah, and we have got Leona back, but before we go to back to Leona, she was here, now she's gone, come back again. Anyway, let's Karim is kind of in the first year of his journey with cultural emergence, but let's hear from Bernard now, who you're many years into your journey with permaculture and people and permaculture and cultural emergence all combined, aren't you? So yeah, some of your highlights from your journey, Bernard.
Thank you, Looby. Yes, yes, it all started with my PDC in 2013, and then once I discovered permaculture, the thing that drew my attention mainly was working with the people, and then that's why I discovered a new book, Looby, the People and Permaculture book, that inspired me a lot all along my journey. And that was my entrance door to cultural emergence through this People and Permaculture book that I actually translated into French as well for the French-speaking people. And then, of course, on this journey, there was also my diploma. That I focused mainly on the tool that to me is also reflecting the cultural emergence movement is the design web. The design web is for me a wonderful tool that I used a lot in my diploma, and that I use in my day, in my everyday life. As soon as there is a project with people involved, I love to use this design tool. And then it led me to co-facilitating this cultural emergences course that we had online a couple of times. And that was also a great way to connect to other people that are involved in cultural emergence. And it was also a way to connect with John Young and the H Hills. And that was really a great experience to go through, and there will be more seed course probably in the future as well. I hope so. And then, yes, now what my focus is, and it's also part of Cultural Emergence, is the connection. It's working on the connection, the relationship with other people, and the relationship with the earth or other living creatures. And that's what I'm focusing now with actually starting some courses that are related to circling, authentic relating, and that are based on the relationship. And that's also, to me, a part of Cultural Emergence, the relationship to the people, the relationship to the other sides of nature than us, because we're part of nature as well. And this is what excites me the most for the moment. And I'm also excited to be in connection with the Cultural Emergence movement and all the things that are starting to emerge around me, with the website, with everything that's you starting to put together, and you spending so much energy in that, and I'm really grateful for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernard. Thank you for being involved and for bridging that gap into the French world. And this is, you know, what I find so exciting about Cultural Emergence and how it's growing is that it is going global, which I did actually do a design a few years ago called Going Global, and how Cultural Emergence can do that. And certainly people like yourself, Bernard, and Karim, and then we've got Delvin in Canada and Barbara in Croatia, and you know, this multilingual community, and really excited to see how that's going to evolve over the coming years. Leona, should we come back to you, because you left us a bit on the cliffhanger of like, the last design I did was this really exciting.
I'm sorry about that. Yes, I'm excited because you know, the design that I did was about how to create a village around me, a community, an engaged community, actually, because I run courses and sometimes it's a lot of work to keep getting new people. And I've been very involved with the 8 Shields, and the 8 Shields model of nature connection is very intertwined with the Cultural Emergence web. And so I designed this, the intention was to design a web to bring about a community of people who understood the necessity and purpose of regular group gatherings in nature. And through that, I started a FireQuest program, which is like a training program for people who want to then do a FireQuest. But with that, the intention being is that we were building in reciprocity and also village building skills, so that the people who did the FireQuest then came back to the next FireQuest and witnessed and supported and held the village for the people who were doing the next questing. And then from that, some of those questers went to the Peace course, which we'll tell you more about in a little while, which the Peace, Empowerment and Cultural Emergence in-person retreat that happens in the summer. They went to that Cultural Emergence program. And then from the Peace course last year, some of the people came to the next FireQuest program that I run up here in the north of England. So there's this movement between these groups of people who are involved with, you know, the 8 Shields and permaculture, and that all came from this design that I had no idea was going to expand in such a way, so that now we've got a program where people are so engaged that they want to come back and be part of it, because they see how exciting it is, not because it's good to be involved like a festival or something, but because these ways of being translate beautifully into everyday life, into living fully, with every moment accounted for in terms of flow and beauty and creativity and our passions, and bringing that alive. So yeah, that's just a little bit. I could go on, but I'll hold it there, because we have other things
And,
to talk about.
well, I think we could we'll let's talk a little bit about the Peace Corps, could be now that you've mentioned it, and then we'll come back and hear some more stories from Barbara and Dalvin and Maureen. So one of the exciting things about this Fire Quest then was that I couldn't go up to Leona's one that she does up north where she is, but then there was another one she's part of down in Cornwall, which then I went. I went and did that in April, which was really exciting, and we had an amazing long journey down there where we talked the whole way there and we talked the whole way back, me and Leona. And one of the things that has come out of this is, which we did last year, was a nature quest on the Peace Course, and we let everyone go out and spend the night on the land at Applewood here, because I'm very blessed to be to have this place, Applewood Permaculture Centre, where we run courses and we get to we get to learn out in the orchard, in the marquee. We just put the marquee up yesterday, so it feels like the course season is really starting. And so we're looking at how to bring that more in, the elements of the fire and the nature quest, and this time alone and this time with community, and how these all interweave, so that what we then also have for ourselves is these tools to go home, so that the nature connection stays with us as an ongoing practice. It's not just we've come and had a week's holiday, and that was it, and now we're back to work. It's like, no, how can we build in those practices or again? And then some of the people on your Fire Quest program are also then coming to my Mother Nature course in a few weeks. So it's like all these weaving together, and this is part of what I think about for cultural emergence, is that it is it becomes like as Karim said, a language and a sort of the mycelium that connects as all as change makers, because there's so many of us in this world that are trying to make change, make a positive impact in the world, or are making a positive impact in the world. And if we start connecting all of us together more and more, then that's where our impact becomes exponential. And it's this idea of like waging peace, is that when we get ourselves really organized and designed and connected, and then that's where this amazing growth and potential can happen. Yeah. Do you want to say something more about the Peace Course, Leona, and then I'll say something about the ACE course and then other ways to get involved?
Sure. Yeah, I feel like the mycelium body that's under the surface is a great metaphor, because it has all these fruiting bodies, these fruiting mushrooms that are popping up all over the world in form of projects that are then supported and connected by this mycelial web that's there under the surface, and that feels really exciting. And so the peace course, whilst it is a sense of peace, we're talking about peace in its broadest sense, not in meditation and presence and simplicity, but in knowing that you have the tools available to you to deal with life as it comes in a good way, in an embodied way. So what happens on the Peace Course is a process of exploration of practices and tools and experiences that we can then take with us into our own lives. So part of that is the nature connection. Is to have a place like Applewood to go to is just exceptional. And part of it is the people connection that happens with the people who are also there to stimulate their own and each other's ideas and connections. But a lot of it is coming from these tools that we've gathered over time that help us to healthily learn and deal with, for example, grief when it comes up, conflict, challenge, so that we don't fear these kinds of things that are a natural part of life. We're never going to live in a society where everybody agrees about everything all the time, or where people don't die, or where things don't need to change, even when some people don't want them to. You know, that's all of those things are a normal part of a culture, but we need to have processes and ways of working with that help us all feel that we have a voice and a role, and that everything that we go through can be acknowledged and understood by the collective. And that is a community where everybody has a place and a role, and it's healthy. And so through the course of the peace course, we build in these practices that are tools for ourselves and our communities, and also the opportunity, as Looby said, to go out onto the land and ask the big questions. You know, what is it that I need? How is it that my gifts can best serve my community? How can I live in a more purposeful and meaningful way? What is it that that my community needs that I can share, and how do I do that? And so taking time intentionally through the nature quest is a beautiful way to do that. We can all go out and sit in nature at any point, but when you do it together as a group, where you're supported to find and ask good questions, and then you go and have a full night solo camping on this beautiful land, sitting with your own thoughts and all of the other beings, and then you come back and you're welcomed home into a village where you're nurtured and acknowledged and honored for making that commitment. It's super powerful. So simple and yet really profound, and we found a lot of quite a lot of movement happened last year around that, and some of the others. And of course, there's always singing, and there's always game playing, and there's always good food, and there's always movement and ways of being that help us to be more healthy, because we've forgotten that as well. Hey, you know, often sitting here, look at us all here sitting behind a desk. So it's getting us into our active animal body and tuning in to all the support that's around us, and that's the human and non-human. That's some of why I love the peace program, and you know, just to take that week long, that time for a week out of life, and to be able to go there and then leave with some actionable steps to take into your own life, I think is a very powerful thing to do with our time. So yeah, a little bit about peace.
Lovely, and thank you. It's just hearing you talking has kind of taken me right back to being there last summer, and I had my, I'll stop sharing for a moment actually. I had my first camp out this week under Grandmother Oak, where just breaking news from Applewood, we have owls in the owl box at Grandmother Oak, and there is at least one owl chick in there, so that's really exciting. And yeah, and just a shift definitely in my own personal culture to be thinking, yeah, let's just go and sleep out on the land for the night and enjoy that being on the land, and just waking up with the dawn chorus, and just having such a different recharge sleeping on the land when you're camping or out in a bivvy bag, just to feel that energy coming up from the earth through the night is just really special. And yeah, so I was sharing my screen here. This was a mandala that I did to show the learning pathways and the non-linearity of it. So I didn't really want to do a sort of like, you do this one and then you do this one and then you do this one, because I think that learning just builds upon upon itself wherever you are. So we have the piece Empowerment and Cultural Emergence, which is going to happen again this August, and with me and Leona. And then we also have the Activating Cultural Emergence. Yeah, so this is Milky, I haven't introduced her. If you come to Applewood, you might not see her. She's a bit shy, but on Zoom, she tends to not notice that you lot are all people watching her. So this is your special viewing of Milky. So yeah, at the end of June, we have the ACE course, the Activating Cultural Emergence weekend, which is a way to start exploring what does it mean to have your own personal culture, what is it, how to shift it, how to co-create group cultures, and just a real good sort of overview of all the toolkit and how to use it. And I will be having the new card deck, not the final version, but the latest version there for us to play with all the tools. And we're going to do a bit of that in the moment as well. And then the third one is the Cultural Emergence Effective Design, which is where you use the design web, which people have talked about already, creating designs for themselves. So that one we did in January online, and we will be doing it again next year. And then next year we will be creating a program where we kind of weave all of these together and enable people to join. We're still in the design phases of that, so we'd love to hear from people what would they like in as a way of a program to help them to go deeper and maybe cover some of the modules that they haven't covered. And yeah, so we're interested to hear what the Seeds of Peace program could look like. And yeah, it's a lot of information. I'm wondering if we could go to our bit about sharing the principles now of what we've got. Do you think, or should we, let's open it up and just see actually if anyone's got a question about any of the courses, and then we'll do a bit of active engagement with you. So does anyone have a question about any of the courses that they would like to put in the chat, or to raise their hand? Maybe while people are thinking of questions, maybe I'll pass to you, Delvin, to share a bit about another course that we're doing over the summer with Delvin. Yeah, I put the website in the chat where you can find all the details. But yeah, Delvin, do you want to share a bit about your journey and another course that we're doing in the summer, and then while people write questions in the chat?
Sure, yeah, it's great to be here with all of you. Some new faces and some I've had the pleasure to interact with for a little while. I do like my quotes, so maybe I'll throw one in. I've been thinking about cultural emergence, and this quote from Robin Wall Kimmerer came up. She said, "I want to stand by the river in my finest dress. I want to sing strong and hard and stomp my feet with 100 others so that the waters hum with our happiness. I want to dance for the renewal of the world." And that kind of came up with Leona being here and Looby too. But yeah, my journey with cultural emergence has been really that. It's a magical adventure of manifestation, community, meeting extraordinary people, discovering so much about myself and my capacities, and collaborating with other people to do things that I hadn't even thought about doing before or didn't think were possible. So yeah, it's just been so uplifting, like today, to connect with people from all over the world that are part of this growing global movement. So yeah, that's been it. It's been a journey of synchronicity, and I won't tell the whole story today for timing, but ultimately it's led up to this moment of being with you today. And really the seed course has been a big highlight. I'll mention that. I did a seed course here with Looby in British Columbia, and then a series of these online seed courses with John Young and Looby, which have led me to deepen this amazing connection with Barbara, who's here, and Bernard, and meet all sorts of new people. And the designs for the seed course ended up being really significant in my life and were kind of life-changing. Some of them I had imagined before, and others kind of emerged out of the process of being part of the seed. But one of them was doing this group diploma adventure course with Looby, which has connected me with all these outstanding people, including Maureen and Anna, who are here as well. And that it's like plan then flow is the cultural emergence principle. I keep planning little things, but then flowing, and all this new stuff emerges from it. So one of the new cusp of that emerging wave is to come to the UK again this summer and be able to interact and play with people in person and do an advanced design course, a weekend together, an opportunity to sort of practice and cultivate our design prowess and play and explore the toolkit of cultural emergence and permaculture and see how they combine together, and just to learn and grow together and have fun and connect. That's been a real theme for me as I'm coming into this new period of time, just connecting with other like-minded people and seeing what emerges out of that, because it's just been so healthy and empowering and just fun and meaningful, and given me a lot of energy and momentum for the other things I'm doing in my life. So yeah, that's a little bit about my story. And that course is happening in July, nested amongst all these other amazing courses at Applewood. So I think that I'm going to see Maureen there, and maybe Anna, and maybe some other people too. But I'm going to continue taking as many courses as I can, and I look forward to seeing all of you both online and in person in different ways over the years to come. Thanks, Looby.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Davin. Yeah, I'm excited to see what the advanced design course will bring as well. New learnings already, even by wanting to clarify what we're offering, has brought new learnings to me about how we can connect with our inner designer, and what does that mean about our inner designers, because I have belief that we are all designers, and it's about revealing who that inner designer is for ourselves. Oh, and there's some great questions in the chat here. So Ragnar has said, can you talk a bit about the point of taking the teachings of the courses home and really integrating principles in one's lives? It's often more easy to stick to the principles in the course setting, but hard to keep it in flow in the home workspace. How is this aspect integrated into the course? That's such a great question, because it is so true that you get all fired up and like, yeah, okay, this is great. I'm going to radically change my life, and I'm feeling so amazing now. And then you come home and there's this like, poof, okay, and then the usual pattern, the ruts that are the patterns in our lives. It's like we're sort of skidding around, and then we just, oh, here's the ruts, and off we go. So there's real good awareness, or right from the start, of like, okay, well, what patterns do we already have, and what patterns do we want to bring in, and what are the limits there? So right from the word go, we're trying to like look at what's below the surface of what are our unhelpful patterns, what are the helpful patterns that we can learn from, and expand more into, and then what are the limits for for moving from the unhelpful to the helpful. And so we're constantly bringing that to awareness, and I think it is a case of like, once you've seen it, you can't unsee something. So the more we show, the more we see, the more you will be relating to that. And obviously with anything, there is some sense of self-responsibility. We won't be there at home. Well, actually we can be, and I'll talk a bit more about the online community aspect in a moment, but you do have to take responsibility for bringing them into your life, but we will guide you in some ways in which you can do that in your own life. And yeah, Barbara, thank you, Barbara. So yeah, she's brought in this online community that we've got, which I was also going to share, which there's a free Cultural Emergence taster course on there, and we share lots of podcasts and videos, and then we have got a living Cultural Emergence community there, which is just a small monthly fee where we post videos and you share stories and you meet other people that maybe been on a different course from you, but that that maybe live in the same country as you, closer, and then we have monthly connection calls as well to bring them in, to keep our connection. But yeah, Leona, would you like to share more about how we kind of keep those principles alive when we get home?
Yeah, I mean, I was going to share about the Living Cultural Emergence calls, but also part of the, when you're together for a weekend, we are integrating core routines. Those core routines, although it's only a week, we can start to visualize how we could fit them into our everyday lives, and through doing those routines that are part of bringing ourselves into awareness and presence and intention, we will bring ourselves back repeatedly to the kinds of changes that we want to implement and into our everyday life. So it's a as Looby said, it's a bit of self-responsibility, but at the same time, sometimes we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do things when we don't actually have the foundational modality, the foundational skills to actually allow ourselves to come back into presence and to repeat and build into our life the changes. So, and then there are the part of the global community, or the evolving community, that I am enjoying, is that there are always new and next steps which can support us and inspire us to keep with what we've already received from the courses. So yeah.
Do you want to answer another question, or shall I go for Doreen's question?
Yeah, go for it.
So Doreen asks, how clear do our projects need to be for the seed course for applied learning rather than deeper theory? Yeah, great question. They don't need to be clear at all. We really start small. It's like the seeds I've got. No, you can't see all my seedlings behind me. But the idea is that you start small and do something small. Like this last time, John and I was designing our desks and our office spaces, and you can really start small and get practice with the tool, and then look to expand out from there. So when we do the seed, we really encourage small designs, like design your weekend. Do quick designs that have yields quickly. So it's like a microgreen that has a short life cycle, so you get the nutrients quickly, so you feel inspired to then go and grow more things later. Yeah. Bye, Kathy. Thanks for joining. So I'll just talk. Julie asks about. Oh, did you have anything to add, Leona, on that one? Sorry.
No, I think that's good.
Do you want to read out? There's Anna's and then Julia's are both connected about the ACE course.
So I wonder if you could tell us about how the online seed course and presential ACE and other courses relate to each other. I'm doing the seed and was going to wait for the ACE experience surprise, but if you wish to clarify for the wider public, I'm also curious to know. And then Julia, is there also an ACE online course?
Yeah, so maybe if we start with Julia. So I have done the ACE course online in the past, and I will do again. but I won't do it this year because this year's already full. But I think next year there will be that will happen, possibly within the context of the Seeds of Peace year-long program. We'll see how that pans out, and then how they relate to each other. Well, it is this. They overlap, and then the tools weave in and out. So each of my courses, for example, will have nature connection in them, but the peace course will be like really focused and centered around nature connection and connection. All of my courses will have some aspect of designing and going forth and creating next steps for yourself, but the seed course really focuses on that. And then the ACE course, it has the real focus on what does culture mean and that cultural awareness. But likewise, all of the courses will have them in. So they all have elements of each other within them, but a different focus. So it's a bit like kind of what's the main meal. The main meal is different. So sometimes like you might get the design part of it on the side, but the main meal is about nature connection, or the main meal is about design and you get some nature connection on the side, or culture is the main meal and you get some nature connection and design on the side. So that's a little way of
I am curious, Looby, over time. It would be interesting to track, those people who have started with one and gone round the wheel, and what their experience is from doing it differently, because it will be different if you go straight in with the design and then come to the embodied practice, and vice versa. If you're going in with a real embodied sense of what it feels like to be in a connected culture and really learn that from the inside out, and then you go to apply that to a design, I think it's quite exciting, that it can be done that way. And there's got to be some synchronicity at play in terms of what is the right time for you to start and join, and how. So yeah, I'm just noticing. Go on, sorry.
Well, I think that's just coming back to your point there about synchronicity, and I think this is a question I often get asked of, like, well, which one do I start with? And for me, like, the answer is around synchronicity. It's like, well, what, when's your calendar free? What's happening at that time? What's calling you? And so to follow those movements as well, and rather than to make it too much of a kind of a head decision. Also, well, actually sometimes it can be just a head decision, a calendar decision of like, oh, I'm available for the last weekend in June, but I'm not in August, or vice versa. So that might be the decision making, is of just like when do you come into it and what's happening at that time that you can do.
Yeah. So I'm noticing a comment from Karim. A big gift among many I take with me from the Peace and ACE course was singing together and learning self and nature connection songs. I sing them everywhere I go, and they always remind me of my lived experiences at Applewood and Cultural Emergence, principles, practices, routines, and many more. So I wondered if it might be a good time to introduce a new song.
Yeah, go for it, and it's a good reminder of like how going back to a question about how we keep this alive for ourselves, and songs is a really good way in that how that happens. But share us a song, Leona.
Yeah, so if you haven't sung on Zoom before, it's an interesting experience. But I will sing a line. I'll sing a line. When I sing, I'll do this. When it's for you to sing, I'll do this. And And yeah, let's I'm singing a song that I've learned recently. I'm going to introduce a new, maybe a new song to Corinne. I hope. And we learned it in a moment of despair, actually. The questers and the village where of the Fire Quest program had woken up in a bog. It had rained non-stop overnight. 3 tents were flooded. It was quite hard work. Charlie was there. She will remember. And I was worried about the questers, actually. I was worried about whether or not they would see it through. And I gathered together the village, the supporters, the helpers, and asked how they felt. And asked them to do a temperature check of their morale. And everybody was like, up here. All the village were like, yes. And I was just like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then Ananda, one of the village who had previously quested but had come to this quest in order to support, he offered this song. And honestly, if you could bottle it, it would be priceless. The transformation that occurred whenever we gathered all together, the whole village and all the questers, and we sang this song. And then all of a sudden, one of the village whose responsibility was to bring movement and play started dancing around the circle, and then we were all dancing around the circle in ankle deep in mud, singing this song, and it just brought this sense of elation and freedom. Actually, it's okay, it's just a bit of weather, and the weather is all around us all the time, and we can handle it. So here's the song, and it goes. Deep in my heart. No, it's not. I'm singing one set of words and a different song, a different tune. Sorry.
I know it, Leona. Shall I start it?
Go on.
Deep inside my heart, I've got this. Deep
everlasting. I'll sing it through once, shall I?
Yeah.
Shall we sing it together? Oh, we can't sing it together.
You go for it if you've got it now.
Deep in my heart, I've got an everlasting light that's shining like the sun. It radiates on everyone. And the more that I give, the more I have to give. It's the way that I live. It's what I'm living for. Boom, boom, boom. So I'll sing a line, then you sing a line. Deep in my heart, I've got an everlasting light that's shining. Deep in my heart, I've got an everlasting light that's shining. Like the sun, it radiates on everyone. Like the sun, it radiates on everyone. And the more that I give, the more I have to give. And the more that I give, the more I have to give. It's the way that I live. It's what I'm living for. It's the way that I live. It's what I'm living for. Ba-dum, bum, bum. Ba-dum, bum, bum. Deep in my heart, I've got an everlasting light that's shining. Deep in my heart, I've got an everlasting light that's shining. Like the sun, it radiates on everyone. Like the sun, it radiates on everyone. And the more that I give, the more I have to give. And the more that I give, the more I have to give. It's the way that I live. It's what I'm living for. It's the way that I live. It's what I'm living for. Boom, boom, boom. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if you can picture in your minds these soggy people with the rain and the mud dancing around, giving and feeling the fully aliveness of the full aliveness of being out in the elements and together with each other. And hopefully it won't be so rainy at Applewood whenever.
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
We're sunny at Applewood.
yeah, it's always sunny. No, it is raining at the moment. I'm in the conservatory, but it's never turned into a bog here yet. Yeah. Well, we've done a lot of talking, so I wanted to now give you all a moment to reflect and see how these principles might work for you. And so maybe to just spend a moment to just think of a question you have, or something that's a dilemma for you, or something that's a context of your life in this moment, something maybe you're thinking about for the summer, or maybe yeah, whatever it is, just to think of something that you might have a question for, that maybe the principles might give you some guidance for that. Okay, and then I have chosen I've chosen from the card deck that is emerging at the moment 3 principles, and I'm gonna share the pictures with you and the words, and then give you a moment to just think about how which one of those, if any, helps you and gives you some guidance on your question. So the first one is embrace potential. Potential may emerge quickly or slowly. Open your arms to potential. Potential is non-linear. That's the first one. Second one I chose was be in courage. Courage is being in touch with our hearts. Being vulnerable is an ability. Reframe nervous energy as courage, surfacing. And then the third one I chose was step into the unknown. Expect the unexpected. Take the first step and expand into new ways of knowing. So I put those 3 in the chat. Maybe we'll give everyone just a minute to just think about that, and maybe you want to make some notes for yourself, or maybe you want to make put something in the chat about how one of those principles relates to your question. Maybe they don't, but maybe they really resonate strongly and give you some direction or insight that maybe you didn't have earlier. So
maybe if someone, if it has come up, brought something up, if someone would would be willing to share it, I'd be curious to know if any of those touched you or your question. Go on, Dory.
Thanks. Hi, everybody. Because we were talking about the summer, this is an unusual year for me because I'm going to be traveling back home to different parts of Canada, which I haven't done for about 4 or 5 years, with my soon-to-be 12-year-old son. So connecting him as well to his Canadian side. And I'm an environmental activist. So part of what I'm doing is heading out to interior BC, where there are a lot more, let's say, easier access to what we call First Nations peoples, communities, etc. Sorry, I'll just keep things short. So there's a part of me that's the activist that's like, I want to engage with the First Nations because there's so much that I'm working on that's of relevance to them in my environmental policy work. And then most importantly, there's the part of me that's just like, screw the work, Doreen, this is your personal life. And, you really have to nurture your self-care and rebalance things and actually just be with my family. And at the same time, I'm trying to learn to drive because I think I will need to. So there's, I can find everything. There's embracing potential. There's be encouraged because I'm honestly quite scared. I haven't driven since, 1994. why the hell am I doing this? And so there's a lot of that. But I think to be honest, to come back to kind of where I've got to, I really do embrace potential on a regular basis, courage, and also just honesty with myself, like just presence, you know, being here and being honest with myself about being scared about some things or being angry about things or really being in gratitude. And everything is the unknown as far as I'm concerned. You know, it doesn't scare me. It just takes an element of trusting yourself and trusting others and kind of knowing yourself enough to know that you'll survive, and actually you might even do more than survive. So I think that was a bit of a it's multifactorial, let's say there. Thanks.
Yeah, lovely. And I love how all three of those principles really spoke to you and spoke to your journey. So yeah, I hope that they guide you on your travels as well. Yeah. Yeah. Was there anyone else who wanted to share something? Or Leo, do you have a reflection?
Well, one of mine was my question is what's happening after my FireQuest program? What do I do? What do I do? And I have all these possibilities, but how do I know which one to choose? And some of them are known possibilities, and some of them I'm not sure how they're going to go. So, but when I saw the step into the unknown, I was like, oof, okay, oof, yeah. Sometimes you just need that little, that's the one, that's the one. You know, I felt it. I felt that little flutter in my belly that told me that that was the one. And that's what I love about these cards and principles, the way that they can just touch you physically and synchronistically. Yeah. Did anybody else have anything that came up for them? Charlie.
Hey, yeah, thanks. As Leona knows, I'm in an in-between place, but it's made me realise that we're kind of always in an in-between place. And that's so step into the unknown. Definitely, I was like, well, I'm doing it, and that it feels like it's kind of got longer. The unknown is like, oh, it just keeps expanding. And embrace potential. I mean, I worked on a community growing space for more than a decade, and the main thing that was always there was, oh, there's so much potential. So I feel like I've lived with that for a very long time with land and community, and I love that. And right now I'm kind of like, well, what's the potential of being in a very in-between uncertain place? That's quite a different sort of, but it's not that different. It's like, oh, why am I seeing it as different? And be encouraged. I really like that principle. I feel like, because of the uncertainty, I often feel like, oh, I really need encouragement, but it's actually, it sort of turns it on its head, as in, you know, be courage, be brave. And that really links to the stepping into the unknown. So I kind of feel like I've stepped into the unknown. I really like the connection for reminding me to be encouraged, because I sort of go a bit like, oh, what is happening? And then just that reminds me, connecting to other people and connecting to land. Someone's just arrived at the door that I am expecting. Connecting to other people, and that just how things keep going, really. But very similar to Leona, my question was, how do I know I'm in the right place, doing the right thing, offering my gifts? And it's like, well, this feels great to be here connecting with you all. So who knows what the next step is, the next step into the unknown. Thank you. I better answer the door.
Thank you. Thanks, Charlie. Great.
Lovely. I love seeing how they interconnect and are resonating with people. So, Leona,
So
do
maybe
you want
a little bit of space. Yeah, I just thought if there's any final questions before, practical questions or questions about the courses or anything that we've spoken about already. And otherwise, I'd love to share and end with a little visualization to take us away with. It seems like.
I just want to jump in about stepping into the unknown and being encouraged and embrace the potential. I still remember till today, 1 year back, I mean, before summer, and back then I was living in Turkey as a refugee going out from Lebanon. And I remember still till today that call we had, and the embodied feeling of committing to traveling to the UK for my very first time and knowing that I'm going to a seat at the whole courses of peace and ACE, and just completely stepping into the unknown and getting there, and then seeing how much courage was required of us to be in the course and how much growth and learning and growth and learning, and then embracing the potential of after that course is like, because I can be overwhelmed with what we can learn in a course and how to embrace it. And also the post course was also very new to me. Like also we learned how to be able to integrate that in the most harmonious way, I believe, and to keep it alive inside of us. And just I'm so grateful that I took that step into the unknown and did that step, and it took me courage, which I acknowledge, and I invite anyone to really just go for it. It's a big reward, and I'm just thankful for that. And then all the potential that can come with all of this.
Oh,
and
thank you, Karim. I remember that call too. I remember you were like, I think I'm coming. I think I'm coming. But yeah. And it is, to make changes, that's a really, a powerful principle, because to do anything that is breaking the habit of a lifetime takes courage, hey? And to stay in it takes more, actually, because we can often find the impetus to make that first step, but then it's very easy to fall back into old habits and ways of being. And so, yeah, it takes real.
Yeah. So yeah, I've put in the chat there my two websites, cultural-emergence.com, in case people are listening on the recording here, and applewoodcourses.com, where on both of those you'll find videos, you'll find the in-person courses at Applewood, which it also includes the teach training we're doing, and then on the Cultural Emergence site, ways to find the online community, and you can get copies of all of my books there. We've spoken about Cultural Emergence and People and Permaculture. There's some more books on there as well, and copies of there, and then the videos and podcasts, so you can really engage more. And as Karim said, step into the unknown, and yeah, really look forward to seeing some of you, maybe this summer. Maybe it might take a while for that step to happen. We'll be doing more over the coming years. Not doing any more this year apart from what I've already planned, but I'm in the process of planning next year. So if you want to suggest something as well that you'd like to come to, we're open for suggestions. And yeah, really thank you for making time to be here today. And I'm gonna hand over to Leona to close us out with a beautiful visualization.
Thank you. So I'll say one thing before I drop us into that space, but there's also my podcast, Connection Matters podcast, which has has Looby on twice actually, and John sharing a bit about cultural emergence, but also it is a cultural emergence podcast. It has a whole cross section of people who are doing the work of connection, and and stories. I guess encouraging stories about, you know, the work that's being done, in a sense. So yeah, just invite anybody who's interested to listen to connection meetings. So now I hope to see some of you in the summer. That would be very lovely. So now I'm going to invite you to just again find that place of stillness, good posture, maybe sitting up straight if you want, allowing yourself to close your eyes and take a few breaths, 3 breaths. Nice, slow, deep breaths. And with your 3rd breath, you're breathing out into a different place. Just take your imagination to a place. It might be a place that you know, or a place that you'd love to know, where sometime in the future, hopefully the not too distant future, you are in a community space. It might be a woodland, it might be a city park, it might be a town square, somewhere where there's been a gathering that day. There's been a community gathering, and it's now the end of the day. The people have gone. Most of the tidying up has been completed, and you are there alone. You're there sitting on a bench or on the ground, supported by a tree or a wall, and you're feeling tired, but that nice kind of tired when you know you've done something physical and emotional that's been worthy. You're feeling whole, you're feeling comfortable, you're looking around at the space, and just in the distance you can see the sun setting on the day. It might be over a building, a town hall, or it might be through the trees. And at this time of the sun setting, your body feeling tired but nourished and fulfilled, you're reflecting on all that's gone before, that your community came together and for weeks planned an event. You can choose the event. Was it a celebration of the turning of the year? Was it a marriage? Was it an opening of a new park or a new community space? Was it something like a shared meal? Some sort of community event that feels meaningful to you, a harvest or... And the people came together and connected with what was needed most. And everybody in the group had a role. The elders of the town, of the village, or of the community were invited to share their views on what they would have liked to see. And the young people, the children, they were also part of it. They had jobs on the day where they welcomed people and they gave out some sort of food or welcome item, flowers. And there had been conflict. It hadn't been all plain sailing. It had been tricky at points because people had different ideas. But because your community or group has all the tools of connection, these were guided. They were supported. These people who had differences of opinions, they took themselves to the land and they sat with a tree or they sat with a fire. And they came back together with a commitment to listening deeply, to each other's perspectives. And a solution was found that met everybody's needs. And so the plan went forward, and everybody had a part to play. Even the animals in the natural environment. And then the event occurred. And whenever the people started arriving, there were people to welcome the space, and there was music and singing, and everything went off, feasting, togetherness, joking, connection, a whole day of people feeling safe. Something's been accomplished. Something has been created and co-created. And all of those who had a part to play were honoured when people spoke of their gratitude and shared their stories. And everybody felt that they'd been part of something nourishing. And as it came to the end and people were invited to share their stories of connection, and share their gifts in bringing a poem, and when the ancestors had been honoured and thanked for what they'd been part of, their parts to play. And people were reminded that this gathering was not only for them, but also to feed the holy and feed the future generations and to be part of something bigger than themselves. People left happy. And here you were at the end of the day, feeling complete and whole, and grateful to yourself for all the work that you put in to your life, to be able to be a person who listens and creates and co-creates. Grateful to yourself for all the things you've done to heal your own wounds and challenges, and all the things you've had to face to get this far. I'm grateful, thinking of all the people, as you might know, thinking of all the people who support you, and all the beings that support you, and all the ways that you are supported to take these steps of emergence, cultural emergence. So I invite you now just to actually feel your body whilst your eyes are still closed. Just feel your belly, maybe feel your strong arms and shoulders, your heart, and rub it in. You know, take in this feeling of accomplishment and connection and healing and growth and cultural emergence, because it's ours. It's there for us when we hold on to this vision of a way of being that allows us to have co-created spaces, connection patterns, cultural routines, support life in all its forms for the future of all beings. And with that, I invite you to breathe it in 3 times. Breathe in that feeling of connection. And breathe in the feeling of possibility, the knowing possibility and potential. Breathe in the power, connection, and courage. And then slowly open our eyes and see each other's faces. One last time before we say goodbye today. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Leona. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to those in-person events and celebrations that we've all visualized there. Thank you all for joining us. Blessings on the rest of your evenings or the rest of your days, and see you all again. We'll do another curiosity call in June if you're still curious, and hope to see some of you here at Applewood this summer. Well, I know I will see some of you here at Applewood this summer, which is exciting. Bye-bye. You can
Bye.
open your mics and say goodbye on the way out if you wish.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.